Yeah, I was gonna say my volume's all down.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Coach's Corner. We are live, and we need to preface with the fact that Tim has a sty on his eye, and so that's why he's wearing sunglasses.
It's not pretty.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
How many questions did you all get?
I think I
actually got a decent bit.
What?
What did I get?
Yeah, 4.
Hey, what's up?
Watch my eye.
I got probably like
6 or 7. You want me to start? I got a couple stupid ones off the top.
Yeah.
One was what
are you guys currently watching? As in like
This
shows
is
on
us.
TV.
That's such a chick thing.
Yeah, I
it's
know.
such a
That's
chick
why
thing.
it's like I
And
can't.
honestly,
It is
yeah.
very it's very stupid. It's like soapy.
What are you currently watching, Matt?
What are you currently watching,
Miss
Matt?
Rachel.
Oh, also Love is Blind. Hello. New episodes
okay.
tomorrow.
No Bluey.
We're past Bluey for now.
Yeah, I'm on Peppa Pig.
Yeah, I'm on Peppa Pig currently.
But I'm
as we
actually
speak.
rewatching.
But I'm actually rewatching Game of Thrones right now because there's absolutely nothing on TV. To the point where it's like, I don't even know why we pay for Netflix and Hulu and all this shit because there's never anything good on anymore. And I'm about to just like, I got to rewatch so many different things now to be able to even have something to do at night when I'm done working. I'm about to rewatch Dawson's Creek. Is anybody else old enough for Dawson's Creek? Watch Pacey Baggy's Teachers.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
What do you watch right now, Steve?
What do you watch right now, Steve?
I watch like old WWE shit, bowling, Bluey.
You do not watch bowling.
It's like my favorite sport.
You are so opposite to me. I think everything that you like, I fucking hate. Taylor Swift.
Jeez.
Taylor Swift.
That was
Bowling.
very aggressive.
Fuck those two things.
You don't like bowling?
Absolutely hate bowling.
Watching bowling?
Watching
Or
bowling?
okay, watching
Who's your
bowling
favorite
is
bowler?
worse than
Who's your favorite
bowling, and
bowler?
bowling is horrible.
Who's my favorite bowler? Probably Jason.
Name 5 bowlers.
Not Weber. Pete
He's
Weber,
just retired.
right? Is his name?
I know, but he's the man now.
I
guy
know, but
was
he's the man
just
now.
Insane.
Yeah, he was a badass. He
Yeah, he was a badass.
So I
He's
like,
the only
so I like
badass
two
bowler that
handed
ever
bowls,
lived.
so I bowl with 2 hands.
That's weird.
That's weird.
Ask Matt if you don't. It's like one of my favorite sports.
He tells me all the
Bowling
time.
with 2 hands, is that legal or is that like a Down syndrome I use bumper type
Oh,
of
it's
thing?
cool. I just went bowling. Like I go bowling every week. I bowled like
No,
a 2.
yeah, I think we've talked about this.
I know, I saw you.
I know, I saw.
Have
Either of you
Yeah,
guys been on the phone with Steve when he's in the car and you just hear the constant beeping? Because the
My bowling bag
seatbelts.
on the passenger seat, acting like it's the seatbelt.
Chill out, dude.
That's how serious he is with bowling. He keeps his balls in his front seat with him.
That's crazy. That's
Like,
crazy.
legit. He's a serious bowler.
Like all the time though?
What?
That's all the time.
That's all the time?
I bowl all the time. Yeah, it's in my.
I'm saying is your
No, I'm saying is your bowling ball in your front seat?
No,
all
sometimes
the
it's in
time?
the back or the front. Depends if I'm going that day. Like some days I try to go once. a
Fair
week,
enough, I
and
suppose.
twice. I will purposely train in the morning, and as soon as I'm done my check-in, so bowl before I pick up the end.
Dude, you're the only other adult that I know that keeps their bowling ball in their car.
I love bowl.
That's
That's
so
impressive,
crazy.
I do. And bowling is a lot of fun. Whenever
Love it.
I hate it.
So like for
It's
me,
so much fun.
training is not anxiety relief because if I'm about to hack squat a bunch of weight and shit, it just builds your anxiety up worse, and it's just all the endorphins and adrenaline. For me, bowling is calming. You know what I mean? I don't have to. You do have
Yeah.
to, but it's nothing that's like
It's not intense.
Intense.
it's nothing intense.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
refuse
It's fun.
to
Like
bowl
straight up
in a
fun.
league because I don't want that competitive thing with it. It calms me down. I don't want it to be something that gives me anxiety.
Training is something I think we look forward to and we love
It's
to
not.
do
It
it.
doesn't
And
help
like it's definitely
anxiety.
something that we
Yeah, it's like
it's part of the go go go. It's not like coming down from the go go go.
I love bowling.
We got a lot of Vikings.
We got a lot of Vikings fans in the thing, and I'll be honest with you, I really thought
Matt
that
was going to be
Matt was
watching
going to be watching some sort of Viking or like Spartan thing or something like that.
I see
Matt is the guy
that
like big on Vikings, Spartans.
No?
No, you're actually 100% right. I seem like all those types of shows.
Yeah.
We haven't really found anything we haven't watched already, so we're just kind of chilling.
Awful TV shows right now.
Awful TV shows right now.
I think I have another.
All right, I think I have another one that's kind of like that, but this one's driving me nuts right now. So, will you guys be at PA Muscle?
Maybe.
Will you say?
Probably.
Probably.
Then if Tim is going, I'm
Which means
going.
if I'm going to be there, Marina will be there. Yeah, exactly.
Guys, me and Matt are having a sleepover at the end of the month. Next month.
Oh,
Oh, that's so cute.
where are you guys sleeping
Wait,
over?
where are you guys sleeping over though? Who's sleeping over where?
Oh, so Matt's sleeping over.
Are you guys
Matt's
building a
sleeping over
fort?
your house.
I mean,
Actually.
one of us will probably share
S'mores!
Yeah, we're gonna train like 2 days in a row.
Sam's asking Lehigh Valley. I don't have
No, I don't
Lehigh
either.
Valley this year. I don't have anybody that
It's the
close.
first year in like 4 years I haven't had any, but last year I had 3. I've always had like 1 or 2 or 3 in there, but not this year. No one ever wants to prep in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 3 people.
Justin.
There he is.
He goes, oh, you misspelled it.
Oh man.
Justin, do it again, Justin.
All that work. Yeah, do it again.
Restart.
Do it again.
To
Where's the T come in?
What happened?
What happened there?
Probably putting Trent in here or something.
Yeah.
and Dralt.
All right. Anybody got a serious question they want to start off with?
I only have one. It's like a quick one. We'll just go through it because why not? Do you like using the topical creams like Steelfit, Sweet Sweat, TC1, Vasoburn?
I've used them personally. I got Vasoburn on my balls once,
Oh,
and I stopped using it.
I've never used any of these.
So you haven't got it on your balls either?
I haven't gotten them on my balls now.
Good for you.
That's weird.
That's weird. I put Vasoburn all my balls before sex for fun.
I
thought that was like a normal thing.
That's like, wow, you
I
too.
did not know that we weren't supposed to do that.
So I used it last month. All I know is it was like severe burning.
Wait, it actually burns?
Oh yeah, my ass cheeks, my hamstrings, and after a month, I didn't really notice the difference. And then I got it on my balls, and I said, "Fuck this."
That's great.
Vasoburn is no joke.
Vasoburn is no joke. I never put you on
No.
Vasoburn, Marina.
So I've had clients that
I put on Vasoburn where I've literally explained to them,
this is
hey,
no joke.
this is no joke. It's gonna burn like an MFer. It legitimately almost hurts at first, right? And then I've literally had multiple people message me after they apply it, and they're like, I think I need to go to the hospital. It's all over me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And you have to wash your
area.
hands. You have to wash your. If you get that shit in your eye, you will have to go to the hospital.
But I like
the Vasoburn. I think it has some application in really stubborn areas. I don't know how truly effective it is in terms of a topical. I don't know like the MOA as far as it a topical and it having more of a localized effect. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think I like Vasoburn to an extent. It would be my primary fat burner, and I don't think it's a huge difference maker. I think when you're super lean for prep, try and get off those last, couple inches here and there, it might make sense, especially for somebody with trouble areas like Steve and his fat ass.
I love when you talk to me like that.
I don't know. I didn't know people still use that type of stuff, actually.
I just honestly, I would just prefer the injectable carnitine up the dose a little, and that HGH flag shit works. S-Mac, that shit is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
That shit is insane, dude. When I use that shit and Johnny told me to get it, I was like, what the hell is this? Just like, and I'm like, if he's telling me to get it, it must work. And he's like, Steve, when you're like 4 weeks out in and your metabolism is just revving, he was like, you will see like divots in your stomach and like your glutes and shit you've never seen before. That he was not lying. That shit's insane.
Yeah, it was a game changer. Less prep.
Marina needs it next.
I will say,
Yeah,
I
whatever
think
it is,
most
I
of
need
that
it.
stuff is garbage though. Like Sweet Sweat, I think is garbage. I think a lot of that stuff is just capsaicin. It worms the area and it makes you sweat a little bit more, making you think that there's some sort of spot reduction going on. But the reality is it's not likely.
What's TC1?
Marina,
Oh,
when you
workout gel.
makeup and tan.
Like
When
for a
do
show.
What are you doing?
when do you book makeup and tan? When you register for your show? Well, yeah, a few weeks before you register for your show. I
What
would,
is it, Marina?
I would book tan and makeup even before you register for the show because you can always cancel that.
How many weeks out should she book it?
Sam, I'll do your makeup.
Yeah, I'll
Sure.
totally imagine. Probably like 4 weeks would be like the closest.
Dave, you did my hair at Junior Nationals, remember?
Hey,
Yeah, so
we really did too. We used some hair.
Mhm.
I felt like Paulie D after I was done with it.
It's the first time Steve's ran his finger through hair in a long time.
It's 6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Vanessa.
I got a actually, let me see if he's in here.
Gabby left me. My client. Questions too.
I thought he was in here. No, he's not in here. Well, I got other questions. Best clothing company.
Go ahead.
Best clothing company for bigger guys.
Walmart.
Best clothing company for bigger guys.
Oh,
I
this
would know. I
reminds
think
me.
that's a
Sam
question
asked
for you
me a
guys.
question too.
Walmart.
What was that, Tim?
I said I wouldn't know. I think that's a question for you guys.
So I would say if you want to get like the fitness type stuff, I think Gasp has the best stuff for bigger
Yeah.
guys. Now I don't really buy a lot of that stuff because I don't buy much clothes, like nice stuff. Like this is literally like a 3XL Hanes sweater that I bought for $9. But that and Target has good t-shirts and Primark has Primark is my favorite. I just found it at the mall by me, but a 2XL there fits me like absolutely perfect.
That's what the only thing I would say is like a two. Like I'm a 2XL. I think so. Like there are some shirts. I think it's such a widespread thing nowadays. You know what I mean? Where like I can get a 2XL. Like this is a double XL. It's oversized, so it actually fits me oversized. This one, but if I get a double XL that is supposed to be oversized from a different brand, it's like barely like it fits. It just fits. It's not oversized in any way, shape, or form. Whereas if I get something that's like Nike, for example, that's not oversized, double XL is huge on me. You know what I mean? So that's the one thing that I have. Like I can't. I hate buying clothes because I'm like an in-betweener. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a double XL. It's sometimes I'm an XL. Especially pants is the same thing. It's like I'm a large. I'm a large except for length. I'm not a large in length, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And now everything shrinks. It's a real pain in the ass. Spending the extra money on some of these fitness clothes just doesn't make sense to me. Gasp, though, you mentioned, and that's one that does seem to fit pretty true to the size, even after you wash it, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't know. I could care less about clothing. I just buy my shit from Foreman Mills at Walmart.
He buys his clothes at the big and tall shop. He's the big side.
Yeah, I ain't the tall side. I'll tell you that much.
Aries will make you feel huge if you buy your clothes from Aries. They'll make you feel huge because you'll get a double XL and actually be small on you.
This is a 3. I think this is a 3X.
Yeah, literally everything I have from Aries is at least a double XL, and sometimes it's
I
legitimately
would
tight.
say if I'm buying like tight clothes, which I really don't, it's a 2X. But I like baggy shit, so I buy like 3 or 4X t-shirts.
Wait, guys, I just clicked on the questions thing.
And they pop up.
No, but it's not the questions I got. It's just random questions. And it doesn't say from whom. Or maybe this is from from the anonymous. Let me see if I can log in here.
Why would it be from your anonymous?
Because I linked it to my story, so maybe it like is able to link it
to Steve's live.
I don't know.
Anyway, Tim, what do the questions say?
Let's
when
do
you
this.
coming to New York?
No idea who that's in reference to, but I don't think any of us are going. Matt Lit. Maybe I shouldn't say that. We've had some stalkers on.
Yeah, Matt lives in Alaska.
Yeah.
I can't even see it here.
What is a common detail of
Wait,
prep
wait,
that
before
first-time competitors
we
often-
go on, Sam asked me my favorite clothing brand for, I guess, fitness apparel, and I think I would go with anything from Amazon or Alphalete.
Oh, when am I coming to New York?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Maybe you.
Not too sure.
Everyone can see those. Wait, everyone can see those questions.
Yeah, you just tap on the question mark at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, okay. So Vanessa said like you can ask the host of the live questions. Okay. Yeah, we're all old here, Vanessa. We have no idea how any of this technology works.
I'm not old. They're old.
Tim, you got a question or Maria?
Well, you want to go through some of these
I do.
questions? I do have some, but if we want to bang these out real quick because they're in the live. What is a common detail of prep that first-time competitors often overlook?
Conditioning.
Muscularity.
Ooh,
What did she say?
all really good ones.
Muscularity. Muscularity.
I said time management.
I think they're all good ones. All
Yeah,
three of
all
those are
good.
good ones.
All the
I would
important
say-
things.
I would say the most often overlooked thing I see is people going too hard at the wrong time, right? Like you got to recognize prep is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And at the end of the day, the closer you get to the show, you have to recognize that's the more that we should be stepping back. Probably maybe even reducing training volume, taking time off, refeeding, doing the things that might scare the shit out of you, because up until that point, we've been trying to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig and dig and dig. But at a certain point prior to a show to step on stage your best, you have to make sure that your body's in a position and ready to compete at its best. And that's going to require some pulling back at different times.
Oh, thank you so much. These are my nose drops.
What brand Yohimbine / L-carnitine do you recommend? Yohimbine, I typically just recommend the NutraBio one, and L-carnitine from Amino Asylum, the injectable.
Yeah, I'm the same. Amino Asylum,
Mhm.
carnitine, and Yohimbi. Anything that's a Yohimbine HCl will typically get the job done. Don't get a Yohimbine bark, or you'll be walking around with a headache, nauseous, and a boner all at the same time.
Even if you're a female.
Yes.
And a boner.
True.
So
For women,
here,
oh.
Cameron, while he's on here, he asked me a question earlier, like we could discuss it. So, he said how we were talking about time management and how like you were having a hard time getting into even the gym like 3 times a week because he works 9 to 5. He does the camera stuff. He has a wife and 3 kids. So he wanted us to talk about how a regular 40-year-old guy trying to be a family man of 4 with a job and a side gig can better manage time, and with some suggestions.
Funny, I got basically the same question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that works. Oh no, we lost Marina. But I would say so. Myself, he's in here, Steve.
Yeah, Nick was in here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Nick. So
You're off the live.
She's looking at her phone. Oh, she might have lost internet. She looks like she's frozen. But Nick, yeah. So same thing with me, right? I work a full-time career. I have 2 kids, a wife, a house to take care of, and a side business with coaching, right?
I'm not
so
frozen.
I can speak to the question a lot. And what I would say the most important thing is like prioritizing your time. So like what is your air, food, water, right? Like you could live without air for 30 seconds, you could live without water for a few days, and you can live without food for 30 days, right? Like think about those kind of categories in terms of your priority throughout the day and act accordingly. The other thing I'll say is just wake up earlier, dude. Like I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning so I can get my shit done before my family's awake, before I have to help get the kids ready, before I have to start work, and obviously after work being dad, right? Making sure that time is available for whatever else I need to get done from like a fitness perspective. It helps to have partnership from your wife, and I think if your or your girlfriend, whoever, your significant other, having the conversation with them that you have real goals to hit, right? And ask for their support as you would support them in whatever goals they're trying to hit, right? What time do I go to bed? Usually anywhere from 8 to 8:30, 9 sometimes.
Nick ain't gonna like that answer.
Crazy.
Yeah, but that's what you got to do, dude. I mean, either that or stay up later to get your shit done, right? Like those anything beyond that, like if you don't accommodate an appropriate sleep schedule, whether it's waking up early or staying up late so you can get your shit done, if you're not working on your goals during that time, if you're just sitting on your phone scrolling, like that's the time you could be using to work towards your fitness goals, you know?
I really hate the idea of staying. I'm not saying it doesn't work for some people because it absolutely does, but I hate the idea of staying up late to get more done rather than just waking up early to get more done. I think if you go to bed earlier, you wake up earlier, you're ultimately going to be more productive for most people rather than if they stayed up until 1 or 2 o'clock trying to get shit done when their body is naturally kind of giving into what our natural circadian rhythm is. And they're a little bit more tired. They're a little bit less, maybe
Sharp.
productive or maybe sharp, yeah, whatever you want to call it. Whereas if you're waking up earlier in the morning to be able to get shit done, A, you're able to get stuff done still in the same capacity where other people are asleep. You're getting it done before the kids wake up or before the family's really at their peak. You know what I mean? You're still able to get things done with that time for yourself, so to speak, right? But again, you're probably going to be a little bit sharper after waking up versus before you go to sleep. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So as far as another question, it's in the box. For women on anabolics, what do you implement to manage and monitor virilization?
No problem, Nick. So I would say the main issue, right, I think is in the dosages and then the duration too. So both.
Dosage duration, yep.
So I think too, if that's occurring, I guess more than you want anticipating, right. Also too, you want to factor in the division, right, and the drugs being used. But you either need to reduce the dosaging and the duration or just remove them completely. Also too, I think like using non-androgens like growth hormone too would be a very similar move, just so you're not worrying about that.
I think, yeah, I usually go with the three things like Steve already mentioned: load, duration, so the amount that you're taking, the time frame that you're taking it for, and then your own individual resilience to those drugs. So for me, there's always a process for a female, even if they have experience, when they're coming to me, the one thing that I'm going to do is, all right, the first push in which we're using those drugs, right? We'll usually schedule that a little bit of a lesser time frame. So maybe it's like 8 weeks, 9 weeks, depending on the individual, depending on what we're taking and how much we're taking, right? And we'll see, what is their actual tolerance at these particular drugs and these, together, separate, whatever it is. And then from there, we'll go through a typical cleanup phase, get some blood work, see where everything is at, right? And this entire time, we're making notes in terms of the individual reaction that they're having to these drugs. And if everything is copacetic during that first 8 to 9 week push, okay, now that gives us a platform to work from, like a baseline to work from. And then during that second push up, maybe we extend it to 12 to 14 weeks, which would be my peak duration for a female, right? And then maybe we can increase that dosage a little bit beyond that baseline and see where we're comfortable and where that person tolerates the best. But it's really a matter of understanding that individual, their reactions to the load and or duration, right? And being able to monitor that over time before jumping up to, a longer cycle or a heavier cycle in some way, shape, or form. And then again, I would just always recognize that a female is not a male. And we could say that about a million different things as it relates to how we do it in bodybuilding or as it relates to this fitness journey in general, right? And we have to recognize that while a male, we might be able to get away with in some case 20, 25 weeks, maybe even a little bit longer than that in some cases, the bloods are coming back well. With a female, we're never going to be able to get away, or we shouldn't be trying to get away with that.
Yeah. And one thing to add as a female on androgens myself, is as a female, you need to be on top of that too. And like, do your due diligence on monitoring those, symptoms. So like being aware of your skin, being aware of your voice. Like what I do ever since I started TRT is every 10-ish days, I'm not obsessed with it, but every 10-ish, maybe a week-ish, I use a voice analyzer app to stay on top of that in case if there are changes. And this may be TMI, but like checking down there, being on top of that too. Like this is stuff that you need to be monitoring as well, so that you don't get to a point where it's too far gone.
Yeah, and I would say like depending on what class you're in, depending on your goals in the sport, right? Are we talking about somebody in amateur ranks or like somebody in the IFBB, right? Like you need to be realistic about how much you may need to take if your goal is to be Miss Olympia in your category and the probability of virilization with the amounts that you would have to push, right? We're talking extremes, right? Like I'm assuming the person asking this probably isn't at that level, but I think it's worth being said. Like you would have to be realistic if your goals are to be a top level figure person, that there's going to be some level of change there.
Yeah, like you need to, yeah, you have to be okay with some of it because it's part of it.
All right. So next question. Who's got one? Who wants to shoot?
Arnold Classic picks.
I don't even know who's doing it.
Oh,
I fucking forgot about
First
the
thing I
Arnolds.
thought was pictures.
Samson.
Yeah, Samson. Well, is Hottie doing it too?
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think Hottie.
Oh,
I think
okay, yeah.
Mr. Olympia to me was between Hottie and Samson. I know judges is judges, and who won is who won, and it's not to rehash an old thing here. But I honestly, in my opinion, Mr. Olympia as it stands right now is between Hottie and Samson.
We're talking about Arnold though, right?
Like I was saying, with those two going into the Arnold, it would definitely be between those two. And if I had to pick one, I would probably go with Samson just because I like the larger, more imposing, the most muscular to me is going to be the guy that I'm usually going to favor, especially when they have the level of conditioning that they need as well. You know what I mean? To me, that's the two criteria for bodybuilders: muscularity and conditioning. Let me see it. I don't give a shit how cool your posing is or whatever. It's like I don't want it to look like shit, but at the end of the day, I really don't care. And if you're the most muscular and the most conditioned, like Samson is, then I'm probably going to give it to him. But I do think Hottie is fucking impressive as hell too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad either of those guys.
Yeah, I have Samson winning it as well. I just don't think that he's slowing down at all. The dude just gets so much better at every show,
which is weird.
Yeah, dude, I would love to like see his blood work because he did like every show last year.
Right, that's what I'm saying. With as many shows as he's done, it's crazy that he keeps getting. But he literally looks more conditioned now than we saw him at any point last year.
Yeah, look, we'll see, man. Because like, let's be real, he only posts pictures in the gym. Like James Hollingshead will post pictures like fresh out of bed, standing in front of his bedroom door, like, and that dude is inside fucking out. So I do have Samson winning though. I have Samson winning. I have Hottie second, James third, and I'll just do top five because I do follow it closely. I think Antoine is going to get fourth, and I think Rafa is going to get fifth.
Rafa looks good too. Rafa looks really good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he surprised people.
I agree.
All right. What do you got, Steve?
Question wise or Arnold?
Yeah. Well, either way.
How do you recommend fixing an underactive thyroid?
Oh, Christ, with you and the thyroid questions. Jesus Christ, what do you fixing an underactive thyroid?
Thyroid if you want.
Well, fixing an underactive thyroid, literally Google fixing an underactive thyroid. Everything that comes up is probably applicable to some extent. Reduce stress, eat more food. Sometimes losing weight, sometimes you've lost too much weight and it throws off your thyroid, right? But I would say, honestly, if your thyroid is underactive, what are the numbers you're looking at to have an underactive thyroid? Are you just looking at an elevated TSH like most doctors are going to run? Are you looking at a downregulated T4, T3, right? Like, what are we looking at there? And then what's the byproduct of those numbers? In other words, what's your reverse T3? Right? Is your TPO-ABs being checked? Are those elevated? What about TG-ABs? There's a lot to go into there too. And remember, the thyroid is never, ever, 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 ever the problem. Thyroid is never the problem, right? Your thyroid is reacting to inputs that we are giving the body based on, again, lifestyle, stress components, all these different factors. So what is going on that's causing the thyroid to have this reaction? Yes, ma'am.
Nailed it.
Take a bunch of T3 and T4, you'll be fine.
Done. Amino Asylum. Don't use Steve's code. Use ECC20.
ECC20.
It gives you 5% off more than Steve's 20%.
That's weird because mine gives 6% off.
Whatever.
Whatever.
You guys got anything you want to add to that one?
No, pretty much everything you said. I kind of already figured, knew what we were gonna say. I wanted to ask it anyway. Someone messaged me that.
Covering all your bases also nutritionally.
Yeah, nutritionally, bring up your food probably. Adderall or modafinil in later stages of prep.
Never used them.
When I used Vyvanse during a prep for a week straight where I didn't, the sleep was the issue. I looked like shit.
So, in all fairness, they did ask a question where they actually had a scheme where it was going to be like, whatever, they were talking about Adderall specifically, like, can I start with like 2.5 milligrams through X amount of weeks, and then go up to 5 milligrams, then go up to 10 milligrams. And honestly, for all intents and purposes, I would say if you're already thinking that far ahead in terms of like, my energy's good, like, why do you need 2.5 milligrams of Adderall when you first start prep? You don't. You legitimately don't. You're telling yourself you do. And the longer you use a drug like that, the more likely it is that you are going to
If you
build some
feel
sort of
like you
habit.
do, your coach is starving you too soon.
Why is this person want to use it?
Also,
Well, that's the
too,
thing.
Tim, I was gonna say, you gotta get your adrenals checked if that's the case.
Yeah, well, even still, I mean, some doctors are now prescribing it in the case of somebody being downregulated, fatigued, and just giving them Adderall instead. I've literally we've seen that multiple times. We saw with Erica.
Don't you think you should address that issue first? I'm saying before you go into prep, because your energy's getting shot before.
100%. I think
that's
that's
the
the point.
purpose. The purpose of putting it in during prep is for energy. Is what you're saying.
I don't know because again, I didn't message this person, so I don't know.
Or
exactly what their
appetite
thought process-
suppression. I don't know.
I would just say, listen,
Dude,
if you're not
honestly,
taking
like-
Adderall in any way, shape, or form now, right, then you don't need Adderall in content. Now, that being said, me personally, I would use it as I get deeper into prep. I will use it a little bit more occasionally than I do when I'm not in prep, right? And or something like modafinil to keep a little bit more sharp. But again, I'm working on a computer 24/7, like, and I'm not using it on a regular, consistent basis. And I would have no scheme up front to tell me I'm going to do 2.5 mgs here, 5 mgs there. I'm going to take what I need on the day that I need it in the amount that I need it, and that's it. And if I take it, I have a strict rule with that too, where if I'm taking it maybe like a day or two in a row, I'm not going to take it for the next 3 days. You know what I mean? And I'm going to have good separation. Remember, these are drugs that are going to have a legitimate impact in terms of like, potential dependency or addiction or whatever it might be. And I don't know why somebody would go into prep with the thought process of, I'm going to need it in this amount at these points. It's like you're thinking too far ahead, or you're already scared of something. Like there's too much going on there where you need to back off and understand that just because you're in prep doesn't mean that you need this extra supplement for energy and or focus, right? Especially if it's not something you need outside of prep.
Yeah,
Exactly. If you're not taking it outside of prep, like, don't be a fucking pussy. At the end of the day, seriously, that's it. Like, if you need it for energy or your appetite, like, you're a fucking pussy. Just prep. Like, how many? Like, are you gonna just like continue to throw things like at the kitchen sink like over and over and over again? Like, again, let's be real. How many people that are engaging with us are high level IFBB athletes? Like, probably not that many, right? We have a handful in the crew, right? But like, once you get to that level, if you're doing all the shit now in the NPC or you haven't even competed yet, whatever federation you're doing, if you're doing all that shit now, what are you going to do if you get to the IFBB and you're trying to push for a pro win or push for a top 5 in a good show, whatever, right? Like, there's so many things you could throw at it. So just don't go into prep thinking, how can I make this easier by adding more drugs? Like, you're going to be taking enough drugs as it is, most likely, right? The thought process should probably be the opposite. How can I mitigate taking more things to make this prep go as smoothly as possible?
I didn't even think about the appetite suppression thing. That's actually, I wonder if that's part of the thought process there. And
That's what
if
I
it
was
is,
thinking initially.
but is it really going to work when you're like 4 weeks out? Is Adderall really going to help with appetite? I don't think anything helps with appetite suppression at that point. I think you got to get, like, Matt said, basically stop eating a vagina. Like, this is where we talk to people all the time about, like, putting fucking zucchini in your oats, or like trying to drive volume up of your food or something like that. All it's going to do is probably cause more complications than what's necessary, especially on the back end of prep. So it's in my opinion, it's just, I don't know if it's going to work, A, and B, I don't know if it's going to work to any extent that makes it worth it in terms of the detriments of it. And then B, it's one of those things where it's like, fucking, what are you going to do after prep now when you're fucking even hungry? You're just going to double the dosage of Adderall? So, yeah. All right.
Then you have to take crack cocaine, and it's like, oh, it's too much.
Yeah, there
It's
you
too
go.
much.
Yeah, just start injecting coke into the veins.
All right, next question. Why do we have dead silence?
Go ahead. Who's got the question?
I don't have any. Actually, wait, is there any more in the little thing? Will I have abs by St. Patty's Day? Probably not, if you're asking that.
Steve, you got another one?
Yeah. So, do you guys really think that top pros are taking more or less drugs overall, dose-wise, than an amateur or a regular pro?
That's a good question. Go ahead.
I would say, like, there's probably varying stages, right? So let's say you have a guy who's either a new pro or like a good pro, but not a great pro, I imagine that there's like, I mean, I've heard cycles of people that are in that category and they're pushing like heavy amount of drugs, like specifically on like the growth hormone side too. Like I've heard of some numbers I never even thought of taking, right? So like they're doing that to get to that level of, winning pro shows and shit. But I've heard of other pros that once they're already at that level, like they're scaling back a bit, right? Because more isn't always better. But I would say generally across the board, like yes, pros are taking more than again across the board than amateurs are.
Oh no, I've seen some really bad amateur cycles. I can think of a guy, I have all shit, I can show you guys later. Came to me from a really shitty local coach. I don't even know if he coaches anymore, to be honest. It was, it was that typical like 800 milligrams of tren, 800 milligrams of EQ, 1.2 grams of test. And I'm like, dude, you look like shit. And he was supposed to be like 6 weeks out, and he wasn't even close to conditioned enough. And it was one of those things where we literally, and I know people have talked about this before, I had never actually had it happen, right, with a client, but we literally pulled back his drugs down to like a baseline level of test, and the dude just kept getting better and better and better. Ultimately didn't look good enough to compete, although he did. But the bottom line there was, it's like, that level of dosage at a certain point, we have to understand that there is going to be, side effects. And side effects, we typically talk about like whatever, cardiovascular risk and, kidney risk and all these things that are probably going to happen over longer periods of time than just your one prep cycle. But the bottom line is there's a ton of oxidative stress that comes from that. And it's very toxic. And it sometimes it can be the preventing factor of you getting lean enough, or even if the kidneys are acutely in trouble, now you're holding a little bit of water, right? And you're just not necessarily looking your best. I think to Matt's point, are we going to see pros maybe taking a little bit more? Yeah, but also have they maybe acclimated to that dosage over a period of time? Most likely, right? And then again, I think that there's a very real individual factor here from person to person. While there might be this guy that's on, some whatever, the Miami Pro Stage is not even like a really big show, and he's taking globs and globs of gear. We also have a guy like Samson that reportedly, up until even a couple of years ago, had only done whatever, like 600 milligrams of total drugs at once. And yet he's on stage as a top 3 Olympian at this point. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I really think it's individual. And I think a lot of people will use too many drugs to make up for what they don't do well in terms of training hard, dieting hard, etc. So again, I just think it's one of those ones where it's like it's a crapshoot. You know what I mean? Are pros taking more than amateurs? Maybe in terms of across the board, like Matt was saying. But at the same time, we've also seen really stupid cycles from amateurs. So I don't think stupidity has that many limits.
What's the most amount of trend? So I can't believe 800, but what's the most amount of trend you guys have run?
300 milligrams would fucking destroy me at this
600
point.
for me.
300.
I think 350.
450.
Yeah.
Beat you guys.
I felt great. I felt awesome.
You got to keep checking down there, though, Marina.
Exactly.
All right. So next question for me is, what are some good pre-workouts? Oh, wait, this one came with 2. What are some good pre-workouts, brand name products? So I think they're talking about like actual complete pre-workouts, because the next question he has is, what are some good pre-workout single ingredients?
I drink salt water.
You would though.
I don't drink pre-workout. Like the caffeine
I know.
set my anxiety off like crazy.
I know,
That's why I said you would. I was being serious.
He goes to the shore and just drinks seawater pre-workout.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't take the sunglasses on, Tim. I can't see.
Watch yourself, bro.
So I would recommend the original Jacked formula as a good pre-workout. I'm sure you can find it somehow.
Jack. Speaking of Jack, it made me feel the same as 300 milligrams of Tren.
Jack, that was the first pre-workout I've ever taken. I remember it was like the tropical flavor, which tasted like death. And I'd never even like had a cup of coffee before. I was like 16 years old, and I got tunnel vision. And I was like, I'm never taking this again. And I didn't. I gave it to my friend.
I'd be up at night staring at the wall, just listening to my heart pound, like wondering, like, why can't I sleep at night? I don't know.
No, but actually, good pre-workout. I mean, got to do the shameless plug for the sponsor, but they actually do have a pretty decent pre-workout. It's Impact, and they have a pump formula. Lately, I've actually just been doing the pump formula because some of the good single ingredients in it are things like citrulline, arginine, like a good hydration formula, but actually just add caffeine to it because I like the pump formula better than the stim formula. But yeah, I mean, other good ingredients are things like, it doesn't really matter timing, but creatine monohydrate, 5 grams, citrulline, high dose of that, caffeine. And I've been out of the supplement game for a while. I have to pay more attention now.
What? So the brand is called Impact?
No, it's All Max Impact.
All Max. Yeah. Oh, I saw that actually. You just did a post on that, I think, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I have a brand that I guess Pre-HD, their stimulant product is pretty good as a pre-workout. I think it's Pre-HD Elite, but I'm not sure because they have the non-stim that I like too.
Yeah, I think the elite is the stim, the ultra, or maybe the ultra is the stim. I
think
remember.
Ultra's the stim. I think Ultra's the stim. I think it's Pre-HD Ultra is pretty good. There's also Hostility from Hostile Supplements that I like. That one's a little bit more mild from a stimulant perspective. Yeah, and then single ingredients like Matt said. I think like citrulline. There's a couple different like precursors now as far as like whatever you want to call it, like nitric oxide products, like the higher end ones now that are pretty cool from a single ingredient perspective. I'm a big glycerol guy. I like glycerol a lot. I think it's almost like underestimated in terms of its impact. It does have some real clinical validation in terms of improving athletic performance, even though that might not necessarily be our realm. But the reality is it has a big effect on hydration, specifically at the muscle cell. And when we get that, we're getting a more volumized cell. The more volumized that cell is, the more nutrition we can fit in there. So I really like glycerol. And then, if we're talking about pre-workouts from like a performance enhancement perspective, I would always say carbohydrates and EAAs intra-workout is another one that I do think has a lot of benefits. And again, we have some clinical data on that too, showing the reduction of protein breakdown, so improving your overall recovery. But again, those are big ones for me. Having something pre-workout, I think, is important. I think caffeine is one of those things where, unless you're a pussy like Steve, caffeine has some really solid benefits in terms of actually improving athletic performance. And we all want to take this whatever fucking, like creatine is a perfect example. Creatine drives me nuts because it's the most highly touted thing. It's got all this science behind it. I get it. I'm not disagreeing with it. But all I'm saying is you don't take creatine and automatically improve your performance at that particular session. Whereas if I give you 250 milligrams of caffeine and you can tolerate that, you're going to go in and you're immediately going to improve your performance in the gym.
Dude, creatine monohydrate has the best placebo effect on me. I'll take it for like 3 days and like, yo, I feel strong. I feel a better pump. I swear to God, it's like taking it.
You just started.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, right.
No, yeah, it's just the Anadrol I took before I took the creatine, but no, it really does, man. It always has for me. I keep it in like all the time. I love it.
They do say that there's responders and non-responders to creatine monohydrate. I don't know.
I'm
exactly.
a hyper responder.
Yeah, so there you go. I was gonna say that's a hyper responder.
That was a good question. Do you guys ever mess around with nootropics at all?
Yeah, I love nootropics.
So I'd like to like hear your opinion on them and like which ones to try because I never have. But when I got the Allmax pump formula, the Impact pump, it has nootropics in it. To make up for the lack of caffeine in the normal formula, and the main ingredient's lion's mane, and it's like actually a pretty good dose of it. I think it's like 600 milligrams or 500. I have to go look. And I noticed like serious focus from it. And I've never. That's the only thing I've ever tried. But yeah, I'm curious like what your thoughts are on them.
Lion's Mane is awesome. I think Lion's Mane is one of those ones that it definitely has a ton of real world benefit for most of us, whether we're training or not training. But I do think most of the benefit, and I could be wrong here, I'm not an expert on nootropics at all, but I think most of the benefit from Lion's Mane is long-term in terms of like memory retention, right? Like the plasticity of the brain, like improving the actual functionality of the brain, if you would, right? I think for a more acute, like I'm a big L-tyrosine guy, especially pre-workout. If we can get L-tyrosine like anywhere between 1.5 to even 3 grams, erring on that higher end sometimes, we're definitely going to improve focus, that tunnel vision aspect, and even kind of get a mood boost sometimes and just be a little bit more primed and ready to train. Alpha GPC is another one that's going to have a little bit of an acute effect there. But I really, really like this shit. I have this like in stock on a regular basis for either pre-workout when I'm working out a little bit later and don't want to take the stim, or just day to day. Like I took 3 of these before our thing now, and it definitely allows you to get in the zone a little bit more efficiently and a little bit more clarity. That's Morphogen nutrition, and the product's just called Brain. But it does have 500 milligrams of lion's. Oh no, I'm sorry, 1,000 milligrams of lion's mane. It has the Alpha GPC. It has a few different ingredients in there that are pretty efficient, especially when they're taken together. And then it also has, but from Thor Nutrition, Brain Factors is one that I take every single day.
I just have my supplements hanging out here.
Yeah, you're still wearing all this brain shit. You're still wearing sunglasses and stuff.
My brain is so big it's coming out my fucking eyeballs, dog. All right, so I guess I'll go again. Why does it seem like pros can enjoy a lot more food in the off season?
All that growth hormone.
Probably part of it.
I think that. I also think too, a lot of them been doing this for so long, so their fat cells have been so greatly reduced for so long, time after time, for years after year. And that definitely helps 100%. Their bodies have also been acclimated to eating such immense amounts of food that, again, calories in, calories out. Doesn't matter the food you're eating, right? From a health perspective, sure, but when you're gaining fat or weight, it's calories in, calories out. So again, you see them say they might be swapping 2 meals out for those pancakes or that burger you don't know, you know what I mean? But again, their bodies are so acclimated to like having that thin paper skin just from dieting for so long. And also too, I mean, the drugs definitely account for it too.
Yeah.
Another thing that I would say, so noticing myself, each year, like I just stay leaner. What?
Tommy asked me if he could have pancakes.
Tommy can have pancakes, dude. You can use them. I mean that in a great way. Tommy's awesome, man. Improved a lot from year to year with Big Cat. But no, what I could say from experience is like I tend to stay leaner every off season since I started working with Steve, and I guess this would be like the second full, but like we did have kind of like a reverse period where we pushed food pretty high prior to my first off season with him. So kind of 2.5, right? And I would say like a big part of it, obviously, is all the factors that you guys mentioned, but I think it's just a matter of having a lot more muscle tissue just requires more calories to maintain that muscle mass, right? So we do have a lot more play in our diets just because we require so much food to maintain our weight, right? Yeah.
I think that's it more than I think growth hormone has a big thing to do with it, realistically. I also think, like Matt said, it's just you're talking
about guys that are, even on the
about guys that are, even small end of the spectrum, stage ready, like 225, 235, right? Like that's on the small end of the spectrum, right? Like we're talking about that amount of muscle tissue. One of the biggest things that I see perpetuated over and over and over again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's not true, right? But what we hear a lot of people talking about, especially when we're talking to women or people that don't train that often, is like build muscle and you'll build your metabolism. And again, I'm not saying that's not true, but it's only true to a certain extent, to where it's like, we know muscle is going to be metabolically active tissue to a certain extent, right? It's burning X amount of calories per pound, period, plain, sweet, and simple, done, stop. Are there some people that are genetically gifted where they'll probably get a little bit more? Yeah, sure, 100%. But again, the reality there is if you put on 10 pounds of muscle this year, which is very, very unlikely, what is that going to increase your metabolism by from a basal metabolic rate perspective? Like fucking 600 calories, maybe at best. So again, it's unlikely that you're going to put on 10 pounds of muscle. And then if you did put on that 10 pounds of muscle, it would increase your daily caloric intake by 600 calories. You know what I mean? It's like, that's not a very realistic strategy. But when you're talking about somebody that is now 250, 260, 275 pounds, or even again, very lean, like Matt, how much do you weigh right now?
30.
So you're 230, but you're lean as hell in an off season, right? For off season standards, maybe not for your standard, but by off season standards, you're lean as hell. So again, the majority of that, I don't want to say the majority, but a good chunk of that weight is going to be lean tissue. So again, at the end of the day, you're going to need more calories to be able to support that than somebody else. It's maybe 150 pounds, right? Just throwing out a number there. That's like, okay, let's build some muscle and then we'll be able to build, eat some, over the course of the next 4, 5, 6 years. And that's my point here, is that these bodybuilders have been doing this for so long. and they've been so consistent with their diet, right? That we're talking, you know, a compound effect over years and years and years. You want to be able to eat pancakes like you see a pro eat and get away with it, or some pizza here and there like you see a pro eat and gets with, then fucking earn it by doing exactly what they did over a very lengthy period of time.
You get a pro card, they give you this like little disclaimer that you get to eat like shit and stay lean. Yeah. It's in the fine print.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they earned it with the muscle. That's all I was gonna say.
You just like said our entire spiel of 5 minutes and 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Efficiency.
Way to go, Marina.
Are you
All
cold?
right,
What do you got, Steve?
I'm freezing, and the space heater actually it just turned off.
I don't have any more questions.
No,
Wait, I do, but I'm waiting. It's Matt Feldman's question, but he hasn't popped in, so I want to save it for whenever we see him next.
What you got, Tim?
Oh, I got more. Focusing more on mind muscle connection. Wait a second here. Focusing more on mind muscle connection. Oh, I guess in prep when energy starts to go down. So I guess they're asking. This is one of the last ones I got, so I didn't ask them anything. But I don't know. It sounds like they're asking that, you know, they want to focus more on mind muscle connection as their energy starts to fade in prep. That makes sense, right?
You should always focus on that.
Yeah, I think the way that I'm reading it though is that they're like asking to get away with that versus pushing really hard. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm reading it wrong.
Yeah, I'm confused.
All right,
That's
so
how
maybe-
I took
maybe-
it, Tim.
What?
Like trying to focus on mind muscle when you're, you know, more tired instead of pushing really hard.
Right. Like, can I do RPE 6, but really focus on mind muscle connection versus just doing RPE 9?
So that's the way I took it. Exactly.
Stretch.
You guys want to take this one real quick? I gotta go potty.
Stretch, you need to grab just really dark black hair dye and just dye your jawline.
Brush it 100 times every morning.
Yeah, gotta get a comb, brush it, and just dark hair dye right on your jaw.
As far as the
but-
question, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna jump back in. You go, Marina.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it definitely has its place. Like if you need to be bringing down fatigue at one point, like deloading, like obviously when you're in prep, you're not always going to be able to take an entire week off from the gym. So you go in there, kind of stay away from failure, really focus on squeezing the muscle. So it definitely does have its place. But I always have the mindset of like pushing throughout your entire prep because you don't want to look back and be like, oh, I should have trained harder.
Yeah, I do.
Stretch, we use conditioner.
I actually do use conditioner in my beard. That's probably the only and shampoo. That's probably the only stuff I use in my beard and a comb.
No, I do the same thing. I have like a beard shampoo, and then I have like a beard balm. It was like a conditioner.
I use the conditioner because like when I sleep at night, it's like when I wake up, it's like, oh, like ouch, yes. So
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But
and yeah, going back to Marina's point, I absolutely agree. Like, I think that there could totally be a time during prep where you do need to pull back on fatigue, and doing that would make sense, right? But don't like use it as a crutch, right? Like, you're going to be fatigued the last 4 or 6 weeks of a prep. Don't go in there for 4 or 6 weeks and say, I'm going to focus on mind and muscle connection today, right? One of the most important tenets of building and maintaining tissue, even during a prep, is progressive overload. Obviously, there's going to be a point in prep when your body fat's so low, your food is so low, or your cardio is so high that you're not going to be progressing anymore. You're probably going to be, regressing in some aspects, but that's when the goal becomes like, how do I continue to get the same reps as I did last week, even though I have had 25 carbs since last week, or, whatever.
Yeah. What show is close enough that this really needs to be, something that anybody's focused on right now? I honestly, my thing would be, there might come a point, depending on how deep somebody has to go in prep, how much cardio they're doing. But at that point, if it's me as a coach, I'm going to pull back the volume. I don't know if you guys said this or not. I wasn't really paying attention. But I'm going to pull back on the overall volume. And if you can only go in there and dedicate whatever, full capacity is at that time to whatever, 4 movements or 5 movements, I'd rather you do that than go in there and half-ass it on 8 movements, so to speak. And when I say half-ass, I mean just, picking a much lighter weight and focusing on just the mind-muscle connection. You know what I mean? I think that's something should be really saved until we're, maybe a few weeks out from a show and you're walking around with cinder blocks. Like the one time is on your feet, you're walking, your feet feel like cinder blocks. But the one time that I think that's going to be, not the one time. I think the only time that's going to be really applicable is when somebody's really digging hard and you're giving everything we got, right? And we're like just barely making it to the stage in a condition that we feel confident in, and I really have to kill you and torch you to the end. Then yeah, maybe we got to pull back a little bit on the intensity. But I mean, that's few and far between, and probably something that we should have thought about in terms of our timeline of prep. You know what I mean? But again, there's always going to be a point of prep where everything gets a little bit slower, it gets a little bit harder, and at that point, I'll start to pull back a little bit of volume, hopefully even proactively before we get to that point.
Yeah.
Dude, whenever I tell Steve I'm tired during prep, he increases my volume.
Son of a bitch. While he's eating a cheesesteak.
No cheesesteak for me. What did Stretch ask? So you brought, yeah, I don't use the beard oil. I tried it once. I didn't like it. It made it like oily, but I just brush my beard and use conditioner and shampoo.
I use beard balm. It's almost like lotion.
Yeah,
Because I agree. I don't like the beard oils.
Beard oil, but I used beard oil once. I just didn't like. I didn't like the smell under my nose, and then it was too oily. I might have done it wrong. I don't know, but I just have a brush. I brush it and conditioner and shampoo. I don't know.
You should try the beard bombs because I don't like the beard oils either because they do make your beard gross and if you touch it, your hands are all fucking oily. The beard bombs, it's just it's literally like lotion for your beard. You could get ones that are more like waxy. Those are nice, but lately, Sam just got me one that's actually a lotion kind of. Throw your hands like a normal lotion, put it on, and it's not wet or anything. It's just soft. I like it a lot.
Yeah. This is my last one. Signs an individual is not ready to start a prep.
Oh, we go all sorts of places with this one.
I mean, in terms of the physical nature of it, we already talked about muscularity, right? What is their division? What is their goal, right? As far as prepping is concerned, is it something where we need to build some experience and it's your first time on stage? Okay, cool. Let's work what we got, go into a good off season, etc. If somebody's actually trying to really take that first place, right, and actually get some trophies out of this, then maybe we need to think about taking some time and really building some tissue. I think tissue is probably going to be the number one thing that you could use to, but from there, I would say hunger, right, and how food focused somebody is or isn't, blood work and how solid somebody's blood work is or isn't.
I was gonna say blood work for sure. High stress levels. Something could just come up and stress levels skyrocket up. Obviously, I don't think it would be wise for an individual to hop into prep. You know what I mean? If something occurs and their stress levels are high, the body's not going to start to respond. Fatigue, right? If you're having signs of some chronic fatigue, and mental health. I'd say mental health concern.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we've talked about the mental health before, and I think Tim, you were the one that brought up the point of not using prep as a way to escape from a mental health issue. I think it was you, but I think that's an important one, especially when we're talking about PED use, because we've all felt it, right? You do a show, you come off your cycle, you're not looking as good as you did weeks ago, and your hormones are all fucked up, and it's just if you go into it not good, you're going to come out of it much worse than you went into it.
Oh, show.
All right. So is that it? Did we clear out everybody's questions?
Yeah.
Do we want to ask Matt? Yeah, we'll save Matt Feldman's. We'll tell him to pop in next week.
What did he ask? We don't.
Yes.
Remember, it is recorded. You can always listen to the podcast.
Yeah, he's got us on his Spotify home.
Nice.
ECC. What was it? It was what's the point of taking Clomid while cleaning out and still on TRT?
He asked me that the other day.
It means he's not taking his Clomid, dude.
It helps with sperm count a ton.
Is he trying to have a baby?
No, but I tried to tell him that it helps. It helps everything, dude. When you're cleaning out, it helps your sperm count 100%.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I hate Clomid. I hate the way it makes me feel.
Oh, it's
Quite
hot as
honestly,
shit. It's shit.
yeah, I'm definitely not taking it. I'm not taking it. Phil, I love you, Steve. I'm not trying to give Matt the out, but like I fucking hate Clomid. If I can do anything outside of Clomid, I'm doing it. And honestly, the only time I take Clomid is if I'm really low.
So that's why he's on.
All right, yeah, fair enough. I'm definitely. I fucking hate
Clomid, man. I hate it.
Like like I told him, you want to have kids eventually express that. It helps. It's something of a necessity for that. If you're,
you got to think about it, right? Like your luteinizing hormone, your your follicle stimulating hormone, like they're going to be non-existent when you're on. So if you're going to be on for a long period of time, like wouldn't you rather have periods when you are cruising that you at least stimulate your gonads a little bit? At least that's my perspective. I mean, now I don't give a shit because I have a vasectomy and I'm probably going to be on TRT for the rest of my life anyway. But if I was planning on having kids, I would be taking it when I'm off.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't even know how that works. I'd have to look into that. It's been so long since I've had anybody cycle on and off. Like, does Clomid stimulate LH and FSH while you're on? Yeah, while you're on. Okay, fair enough.
I don't know if there's been specific studies of it while you're on, but I've gotten blood work done while on it, and my FSH and my LH were good.
Well, hold on. Of course it does, because I was on TRT when I had my daughter, and I was on Clomid, HMG, and
yeah, but that doesn't necessarily mean
anything. But I also know people that have just taken Clomid and test because they couldn't afford like all the HCG and HMG, and their sperm has gone up.
Right, their sperm has gone up, but I'm saying, does it actually? Because again, if it actually drives luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone while you're on test, which to me is the key there.
I'll ask John.
Yeah, I honestly don't know either.
Say either way, I have no idea.
Yeah, I really don't know. So, but if
I got
does,
blood work on the Clomid, and it's not that like my luteinizing hormone and my FSH were good, but they were higher than they have been when I wasn't taking it.
I know it would if you're not on test, but again, does test?
No, I was on test.
Yeah. Oh, you were on test.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, so
of course
there
it
you
would
go.
inhibit it. But
well, that kind of answers the question there, though. You know what I mean? Like,
don't use me as a baseline because I tend to like the hormones we want high are almost always high, and the hormones we want low are almost always low for me. So like, I don't know. I might not be the best model.
You got the good genetics. Yeah. That's one where it's like, to your point though, Matt, like I would say it's the exact reason why I always use T4. People are like, you really need T4 and T3, or you could just use T3 for fat loss. That's true. But like, I'm always trying to, I want to try to create that environment that is going to be most replicatable, most representative of what our environment would be, no matter what, right? We're always going to have that T4. So now we'll add in T4, T3. Like it would make sense in that case. If Clomid is stimulating the LH and the FSH while you're on test, then it would make sense to try to replicate that environment of you not being on test as closely as possible. You know what I mean? If you're trying to keep that fertility window open.
Tim, I got my labs back.
Did you?
Yeah.
Everything's good?
All good.
Well, she's blasting Tren next week. You gotta smile.
600 milligrams again.
It's a good example though. She's on TRT, but her test came back low. So we actually, spread out the dosage a little bit. And we're using the same exact dose that we were using, but we spread that dosage out over many days instead of just 2 days. And now apparently we reran the labs, and now apparently everything came back good, but I haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Yeah, so I was doing Monday, Friday, just 2 milligrams, and then I moved to every other day 1 milligram, and doing it Monday, Friday, I came back 15. Still, my test was 15. Now it's 40.
Yeah. So her test was chronically 15 for years.
Yeah.
But how much TRT are you? 2 milligrams?
4 mgs
a week.
A week, yeah. Well, like 3 to 4. No, so 1 milligram every other day.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
How do I send this?
Wait, right. Tim, Daniel's looking great. You're creating a miniature juggernaut. Thanks, EJ. I appreciate it, man. He's
Hi, EJ.
Super hyped after his visit last week. Go ahead.
I know there's no such thing as a stupid question. This is pretty dumb. The guy asked me if you cut out if you tell a client when to cut out having sex in prep.
What?
I ain't listening to anybody tells me that. I don't care if Honey Grandma tells me that. I'm not taking it out.
Yeah, why the F would we do that?
No, I asked him that. I said, why? And he said, for energy expenditure.
For all my any of my male clients in the chat, if you want, I'll in your cardio as much sex as possible, so your wife has to do it.
Exactly. Well, I want Matt's my next coach 100%.
I'm messaging Johnny right now and be like, dude, you're fired. It's been 10 years. Oh, yeah.
I know I never met EJ in person, but him and I have messaged each other a bunch of times. So hi, EJ.
EJ's the man.
Oh, man.
All right, is that all we got?
I'm being coaches for the night now.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
I got an eyeball I have to go rub with a hot compress.
Be
Oh
right there.
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you everyone for listening. We'll catch you guys next week.